What's going on, y'all? Once again, I feel inspired to share some recent experiences of mine, kind of sharing my perspective and sharing the insights that I've gained and how that is really changing me and allowing me to to change and providing the opportunity to change and what that looks like. And the way I want to start this off is really just saying that we are all on our own paths. And really the main premise, the whole theme of this is our soul is remember you gotta remember this is all one thing. You can break it down in so many different ways, and I've gone down so many different rabbit holes, and they've all led me back to the same understanding, the same inner standing, that it's all one thing. If you think about, okay, where'd you come from? We're a product of the earth. Where'd the earth come from? Oh, it's a product of this solar system, which is a product of this galaxy, which is a product of this entire universe. So no matter which way that you break it down, all of it is all of it. Everything is one thing. And we are all unique expressions of that infinite intelligence, that infiniteness, that oneness of everything. So that's like a foundational principle to begin with, because it kind of overlays everything else that I'm going to talk about. And so, with that being said, our soul, and another point of this is you have to ask yourself the question, is the soul inside of you, or are you inside of your soul? Is the soul inside the body, or is the body inside the soul? And again, just the way to look at that, the way you can maybe think about that is just to recognize that, again, it's all one thing. It's all energy and information fundamentally. Even an atom is 99.9999999%, a whole bunch of nines, percent empty space. And so you have to ask yourself, well, the things that we think of as so physical, are they really even that physical? Or have our senses just evolved and been tuned to interact with these things in that very physical way, because it allows us to uphold this illusion of separation, because we can say that thing is over there. I can touch that thing and it feels separate from me. And because it feels separate from me, I'm able to have a relationship with it. And because I'm able to have a relationship with it, I'm able to learn about it, and I'm able to recognize the parts of myself that are within that thing or those circumstances or that person, those people. And in that way, I get to reflect myself back to myself, and I get to learn, and I get to grow, and I get to experience and learn more and more about what and who I truly am, behind just the kind of ideas that I have identified myself with about who I am. Okay? So, again, I don't want to, I can break off into all that tangent, but I think that makes enough of the point to lay a foundation here. And really, what I wanted to get into beyond that is my competition experience and what that means for me, and what the meaning that I've been able to draw from it. Because last Saturday, I competed again. The goal was to hit a certain number, certain qualifying total number to go to nationals. And long story short, didn't make the cut. And the thing is, like, the weights actually felt good. Like, I felt good that day, and it really didn't come down to me feeling like it just wasn't there or I didn't feel good. Like, I felt good, and shit was actually moving pretty damn well. It's just the weights just weren't there yet. Like, especially in Olympic lifting competition, most of the time you're not hitting all-time PRs in competition. In my experience, Most of the time, unless you're like just starting out, but if you're a more experienced lifter, most of the time you are not hitting personal best in competition unless you really have to, and unless it's like there and let's go for it. But most of the time you're actually hitting a little bit below because you want to make sure you hit good lifts. You know, it doesn't matter if you put up what weight you put on the bar, you got to actually hit the damn thing. And there's a lot of factors involved, obviously. And so usually you don't go out and attempt PRs on every single attempt when you go to a competition. But this was kind of the situation that I put myself in, because the weights that I needed to hit, I really haven't hit yet. They're within my capability as far as my strength and even my current technique. They're there. I just haven't had enough practice to make them consistent weights yet. And so going into the competition, I knew I was just gonna have to put it on the bar and see what happens. And sometimes it works out, and then you're a fucking genius because it works out. A lot of times it doesn't work out, and then it's just okay. Well, that's what it is. And so I kind of wanted to state that just to showcase, like, in the perspective of things, because when you go through these experiences, like, the very first thing is to look at the way that you look at it. Look at the perspective that you take on, because the same experience can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, and depending on the way that you interpret that is going to determine the kind of how you experience it, the emotions that come up, the actions that you take from that, and ultimately the meaning that you draw from that. And so you can take the experience of, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm a piece of shit, I fucked up, you know, XYZ, this didn't work out, that didn't happen, what am I even doing? And most people know that downward spiral. But there's also an upward spiral, because choosing to look at it in a different light. Like, as soon as I got done, I was like, oh yeah, kind of, you know, it sucks. It's like, yeah, I didn't hit what my ego's desire was, but I've learned from experience that things happen exactly how they're supposed to. Especially the more and more aligned you get with yourself, you know, your intellect, your intuition, your gut, your instincts, the more those are all aligned and harmonizing together, the more you draw exactly the circumstances and the people that you need to help you become who you're supposed to become. And that's why I introduced this whole video with touching on the soul, and touching on how we literally draw these things into our life as what seem like external circumstances, but that are ultimately there to help our internal growth. And so every experience that I have, I'm always looking to see, okay, where is the growth opportunity? In what ways did I call this thing to myself? And because I know I called it to myself, and yes, there is random shit that happens. Don't get me wrong, and we're all co-creators in this experience. But as I said, almost all the time there's a reason behind it, especially the significant things that happen in our life. There's reasons behind it, and there's reasons why we are experiencing that thing, because that thing was there to help our soul's evolution of realizing more and more of what it is, as one with everything else. It all comes full circle. And so this competition for me, it provided that experience, because I was like, okay, this didn't work out in the way that my ego wanted it to work out. Which, again, it's cool to have your ego's desires, but also recognizing that there's a bigger picture here than your own ideas about what you think things should be like. And so it was recognizing, okay, what is here to learn? And for me, I have done so much work on an individual level and just with myself to get to this place. And I felt like I've had to really kind of be a lone wolf in a lot of different ways, because I've been establishing myself as myself and really figuring out who I am. And I feel like that's been my journey the past decade plus of my life, of just who am I, like figuring out what that looks like, and creating a structure to support that. And because of that, I've kind of done a lot of my own stuff, and I haven't asked for help. And that's part of what, the challenge has been for me, is asking for help and being able to receive, as I put so much energy out in supporting other people and helping and being of service. But when it comes to me asking for help, I have had a lot of challenges with that. It's been a difficult thing for me. And I realized, and through the experience over the weekend, I kind of recognized that that is how it needed to be, because I've been building this foundation. But now I've gotten to this place and I've recognized that in order for me to keep growing, because there's only so much that I can personally do. We all have the same amount of time in the day, and I manage my time pretty fucking well. I'm not gonna lie. I put a lot of structures in place to allow me to be and to do all of these different things without losing myself in it. But again, I can only do so much. And so coming to this place of like, okay, I see what's been working, I see what may not be working, and giving myself permission to be able to change, because that's a big thing. We get stuck in a certain way of being, and then we don't allow ourselves to change, even when all these different signs are pointing at us and showing us clear as fucking day, yo, it's time to change. And that's okay. That's like, we should be changing. That is part of this evolution. If you're the same person that you were yesterday, that you were a week ago, that you were a month ago, that you were a year ago, that you were 5 years ago, you're not growing. As growth inevitably brings about change. And so I'm changing. I'm always changing, because I'm always learning. I'm always growing, and allowing myself to grow beyond my current version and current ideas, and recognizing what worked to get me here may not be what's working to get me there, to ultimately where I have the potential to be. And so that was kind of one of the really big key takeaways and kind of unfolding of my experience over the weekend. And in case you're curious, I went 1 for 6. I only hit my first snatch, went 120, tried 123, missed, tried 124, missed. I'll probably put videos up somewhere. Clean and jerk, opened up at 160, had a little hiccup with times and shit on the second attempt, so I just basically skipped my second attempt, and then I went 170 for what I would need to qualify, and cleaned it, relatively easily. Just wasn't there. Yeah, so for anybody that's curious of the exact numbers and how that all played out. But yeah, I went 1 for 6. But yeah, so what I learned through that is that it's time. It is time for me to reach out and to receive. So I give so much. It is time to allow myself to receive more, so that I can continue to give. Because if I keep giving and giving and giving, but I don't give to myself as best as I can, then ultimately I'm not going to have as much to give. And I can't be of service as well as I could be if we were working together. And so part of my process now is like reaching out to different people and just straight up asking for help. Because even though, yes, I can do a lot by myself, but I know that I can't do it all by myself. And so opening that up. Because the thing is too, is I've learned and I'm learning that it's not just about the tangible physical things that somebody can help you out with. I have these eggs, and I'm going to give you these eggs for your service, or we exchange money, whatever that looks like. But the energetics behind it of literally exchanging value and providing somebody else the opportunity to serve is also valuable. And the energetics of somebody else believing in you and wanting you to succeed and willing to support you in that, with beyond any of the actual physical actions or tangible things that you receive, just that energy of more and more people wanting to see you succeed and giving you their blessing and giving you their energy and believing in you. That is huge. And that's been something, I haven't really fully come to comprehend or connected those dots. I've always thought about, just the physical aspect of it. But now that I see like the more and more people that, we can co-create this team, I can support in the ways that I can support, and other people can support in the ways that they can support. And it all comes full circle. So that's where I'm at right now. And that's where I see myself continuing to head. Again, I'm always open to changing, or at least I'm always willing to be open to change. I'm human, still, get in my own way a lot of times. But I wanted to share that with you because part of this process for me is also learning how to be more and more vulnerable. I had this dream last week of a snake biting my throat. And I've kind of been starting to put those pieces together and recognizing like, yes, I've been communicating a lot. And that is like, I need to keep doing that. But even going back in another layer, because you can communicate all you want, but are you actually saying what needs to be said? Are you using your voice in the way you feel called to use your voice? And I've recognized that me even being more vulnerable than what I have been. And that's hard for me because, you hit a certain point where it's like, do I really want to share that? Do people really even give a fuck about that? But again, it's just like, it's as much of doing this is for me as it is for you listening to this or hearing or watching, whatever. But being vulnerable and really sharing these experiences with whoever is open and ready to receive them. And ultimately, as I've said, knowing that we are all on our own path and you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and the things that you are experiencing in your life, especially the shit that doesn't seem like it's working out, that's exactly where the gold is. Those are exactly the opportunities that you have drawn to yourself, your soul, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of different words, and language is just language that we use to try to express these things that a lot of times can't be expressed adequately through language that we use. But either way, your soul, your higher self calls these things, is calling these things to you. Even the reason that you are watching this and hearing my voice right now is for a reason. And so this message is for you. And there's something here for you because you're here right now. And so allow that to be whatever it needs to be. Be open to receive it, or be willing to be open to receive it. And then, learn or what needs to be learned. Connect the dots, whatever is coming together for you. But again, recognizing you are calling exactly what you need to you to help you grow in the ways that you have the potential to grow, to help you be who you have the potential to be. And you have the free will to take that calling, to learn the things, to make the changes, to change the way that you're thinking, change the way that you're acting. You have that free will. You have the free will to disregard all of it, say it's all bullshit, or, whatever story you want to put behind it. But again, the way in which you think about something, the perspective that you give it can quite literally determine the experience that you have with it and the meaning that you gain from it. This past weekend could be a something that just said, all right, I'm done. Like, it's not working. Let me just fucking quit. That's it. Or it could be like, oh, this is actually a very affirmative experience. Like, things are going really well in so many different aspects of my life. And I'm so fucking grateful for all that has been transpiring and manifesting and coming together. And now, because of this experience, I'm able to now continue to move to the next place and the next place, because I'm learning and I'm growing, and all these experiences are teaching me something, and they all have something for me. And it's up to me to recognize and integrate whatever that is. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. Hope I trust if you made it this far, I'm sure you've receive some value, and I'm grateful to be of service in that way. And like I said, this helps me as much as it may be helping you. So with that, I will leave you. Have an amazing day. You get to choose to do that as well. And I'll talk to you soon. I love you. Peace.